Welcome, everyone, to the Real Whovians cast. I am your host, Matrixlord212, and I am with Scott. What's up, Scott?
Still got my brain.
All right, so I know that at some point in time in our over 1,000-some-odd casts of the Real Whovians, I have reviewed this before, and that's fine. I don't feel like looking through all of it, so we're going to review it again. We're going to review Doctor Who Season 13, The Brain of Morbius. And again, this is one of my favorites. It's right up there. It's like one of the, like, my top because a lot of stuff happens in this episode. It has to do with a Time Lord known as Morbius.
And this is similar to Frankenstein, but initially it was going to be reverse, but they rewrote the story a bit. And
yeah, because they want to get sued, probably. You know. And they also have, like, the person that's blind, like in Frankenstein, which was Sarah. She goes blind from the Sisterhood of Khan.
Yes.
Now, it's
sacred flame, sacred fire.
Yeah, sacred flame, sacred fire, sacred fire. You know what the funny thing is? You know, because he even mentions Pompeii in here, in case you didn't know that. You know that they took Fires of Pompeii and they copied the Sisterhood of Khan with that, trying to do their own thing, make it like they. But this is exactly. Fires of Pompeii is definitely stolen from this. You know, with the exception of them adding in being soothsayers and stuff like that. So this is an amazing episode because we get to see that the Doctor. This is where he grew up, Gallifrey, but he says like billions of miles, but it's nothing to him because it's in the area to him as a Time Lord. And the Sisterhood, the Time Lords always worked with the Sisterhood of Khan. They're always close. And for some reason, the Sisterhood thought that the Time Lords were against them, and misunderstanding on their part. Where every damn ship that comes, they shoot it down and kill everybody.
And if you notice, one of the beginning shots, they used a Muto from one of the Third Doctor adventures. Yeah,
and got killed. The insectoid creature that they took the henchman guy, whatever his name was, supposed to be like Igor, which they copied of Frankenstein. We see that already, obviously. Basically, he chops off the head, and he's like, "This won't do." The guy whose name was what, Solon or something, or Solon or something. Solon, and he was a follower of Morbius. That there was a big trial. He was at one point in time the head council of Gallifrey. I guess he was like one of the heads in the High Council.
Yep.
And he was like one of those evil Time Lords that was destroying everything. Finally, they all got together. They put him on trial. They executed him.
And they thought his entire body was decimated, but turns out the brain ended up
in Solon's care. Yeah, and Solon basically hooked him up to this machine to communicate with him, trying to get him a body that is equivalent to him, that will project, and a humanoid body. It doesn't even have to be a Time Lord. But of course, you know, Morbius is like screaming all the time because he's been in a jar for a long freaking time. So it's funny because the Doctor and Sarah, they arrive there, and you know, the Doctor, he's just like, he's aggravated because he thinks that the Time Lords, which could be.
Yeah, Time Lords forced him down into this planet.
Right, and he knows that the Time Lords forced him down. He knows. He's like, I ain't doing anything. And he's like, I'm playing my yo-yo, and I ain't like, whatever. And it was like, you know, that's why I like yo-yos. But anyway, you know, no, I used to always buy every freaking yo-yo there is. So I don't know, maybe sometimes. But anyway, so, you know, Sarah's wants to look, you know, to look around without him, and then, you know, of course she screams and different things happen. It's like, you know. And then it starts raining, and then they stumble upon the castle, and the guys, you know, are ecstatic that they're there.
Yeah.
Now Sarah's smarter.
Find out that the Doctor is a fellow Time Lord who murdered, in his eyes, pretty much executed his
Morbius.
Messiah.
Well, not him directly. He wasn't there, but but he's part of the same race. But the funny thing is, like, Sarah refuses to drink. After the last thing where they were going to poison her, but she didn't know, and she actually used it to electrify in the android invasion. Somebody gives her a drink. She poured it in the cup. You saw that?
Yeah.
She's like, so she ain't drinking it, but the doctor's just like, yeah, you know, and then he gets knocked out. Right. And then, you know, he gets beamed out of there by Sisterhood of Khan, which they think immediately he's a Time Lord, he's evil, they're all evil.
He's there for one reason, to grab the sacred flame, or at least the nectar of the sacred flame.
Right. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, Time Lords don't hate you. Like, Time Lords always protected you. They saved you, right? And then he's like, what are you doing? Like, what do you, like, in other words, wake up. Like, that's totally like a bad miscommunication on your part, because they protected you, and they're like, oh, he's full of egos. Yeah, because one bad apple, meaning Morbius, they right away prejudice against all the Time Lords now. Even though they got saved by the Time Lords. So their flame is like going out, and you know, the first time it's like, you know, Sarah tries to get him out of there, and then she gets blasted with the ring and blinded. And it was a terrifying thing for her, but yet she's so resourceful, because even blind, she won't stay there. Like, she'll want to like just, I don't know how.
She kept feeling herself around until she got out.
She's like one of my favorite.
Stolan, of course, tried to use her after Kondo was injured.
Well, that's the thing. You find out that what was his name, Kondo? He cut his hand off for that creature. Yeah. That composite of all different creatures, like a Frankenstein thing, and then they just needed a head to put on there for Morbius. But the you know, the doctor wants us, you know, go back there to get Sarah to look like, you know, and he showed up at the Sisterhood of Khan because he wanted his head, and it's like, you know, the doctor shows up with Sarah. He's like, yeah, I'm not drinking anything anymore, right? We know what you're pouring, you know, but I don't care about your nonsense. I don't care you tried to kill me. Just help Sarah. And he's like, oh, she can't be fixed. And then meanwhile, the Sisterhood later on, they say, yeah, he don't know what he's talking about. Yeah. Because he's not a doctor of that with the eyes.
They even said he knows that the ring was merely there to blind.
So but he did, like, in other words, he knew she was going to get her eyesight back. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's just bullshitting them that
he was BSing him.
Yeah, that's never gonna ever healed again. Yeah, he's a scumbag. Like, that guy. That guy was scum.
Looking to is get the doctor's head, and he ended up using that glass bowl thing.
Well, even the henchman guy got tired of his bullshit, because he's like, when are you gonna give me a new hand? And he's like, you know, then he starts choking him out, and he's like, no, man, I want it now. I don't give a crap.
And then he saw his own arm on the creature.
Flipped out.
Really took him over the edge.
Yeah, but he's like, I'll give you a new arm. And then, you know, when Sarah's blind, she stumbles upon Morbius, you know, and he's making noises and, like, you know, screaming. And then even when he was in the creature form, he was going to choke her. And she's always getting choked, falling downstairs, she's thrown all over the place. I mean, I'm telling you, man, I hope they gave them, like, extra money for that. Because none of these companions, you don't see these companions today falling downstairs or any of that. None of that. You don't see that. No, Sarah Jane Smith was like
one for the team.
She was like Evel Knievel, or like friggin' Super Dave Osborne or some crap. Like, she's like thrown all over the place. Choked. She gets choked every friggin' thing. Kidnapped, poisoned, electrocuted. Well, messing her mind. It's like, she made a crack. She's like, I'm not crawling through that. He's like, no, I'm gonna put the gas in there. But basically, he creates the gas to kill the guy. Because at this point in time, the guy kept flip-flopping. He's like, I don't care. I'm gonna kill this guy. And he does. The poison gas kills the guy.
Yeah, because and then of course, come to find out, the creature that he put the head on, the body. Its circular storage system pretty much could live in anything.
Right, so that thing ain't going to bother him. But then the doctor tricks him. He's like, listen, we're going to have a mind-bending competition. And Sarah's like, what's that? He's like, that's wrestling for time.
Yeah, wrestling for time words.
So the whole of the thing, like, you know, like, and then
you see splashes.
Right, that's the biggest thing in the episode that everybody will reflect on. The main thing is because
where you're wondering who was the doc, because he said, how far back do you go, doctor? How many lives have you lived?
You know what it is? I honestly don't see. That's the thing. They were trying to make it like, well, is there doctors before the doctor, or was there incarnations that wasn't called the doctor before the doctor? I never to that day, like back then, thought that. I thought that was the doctor when he was young, because you know the fourth doctor was like what, 750 at that point.
Yeah.
So he was probably around for like 600 years, and then maybe the second doctor was only like 100 years, or whatever it is. But like he probably looked different, or he had disguises. Like the Master had disguises.
Yeah,
you know,
there was a video. I forget who did it. I'm trying to think if they went up to Matt Smith or they went up to Christopher Eccleston. I forget now. But nonetheless, they started combining all the doctors' faces. And what they were doing is like they would combine this one to this one, this one, this one, this one. And what they were doing is they were trying to figure out exactly what the doctor's original appearance was. Because what's supposed to be...
I think William Hartnell was that... I mean, what do you look like young, you mean?
Bit of his old self.
So what did he look like when he was young?
Yeah. I don't... Like I said, I'd have to go back and rewatch
that. I'm telling you right now, to this day, William Hartnell's the first. Like, he didn't even know how to regenerate, really. So
no, I mean, even younger than William Hartnell.
Right, I mean, it was still that doctor, but younger. Because, you know, for Matt Smith to get old, it took a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, when Matt Smith and Tommy the Doctor, it took 1,000 years for him to age like 100, you know? So.
Because because the Doctor Who magazine did a thing called The Star Beast, and he had a companion by the name of Sharon. They encountered a being called the Time Witch. And I know we're getting off the subject for just a brief moment, but nonetheless, Sharon had aged from like a young adult to about like 20-something, and she showed it. Where the Doctor, due to being a Time Lord, I mean, you didn't even really knew he had aged.
Right, yeah. But again, to this day, I don't think that, I don't think it was 3 generations. I think it just, he looked different because, again, no Time Lord traveled like he did. So he's like hundreds of years before he even stole the TARDIS. He probably took the TARDIS on jaunts and then he decided to escape with it. You know, so, you know, that's the whole point, is that he's, in a way, lived other lives, you know, throughout time in that same incarnation. And that's what I believe it was. Because even the the older people, they were saying, oh, those images of the crew of the you know, that made the episode. It was them, you know, not, you know, so. But again, this is an all-time
favorite.
favorite.
How one of them resembled Gallagher, the comedian who crushed watermelons.
But this is one of the top episodes. And again, if you like Frankenstein, you like all that stuff, you'll love this. And again, everybody does their own take on Frankenstein, their own thing, their own little twist, and, you know, sugar and spice added to it. I mean, they didn't do the electricity thing like Frankenstein, because then they probably really would have got sued. But, you know, they were doing like the brain transference and stuff like that. And the funny thing was when the henchman guy was fighting him and he drops the fucking brain.
Yes. I forget how many times I've watched that. I laughed.
You killed him! The fact that didn't he like this? He went like this. He put the thing anyway. He's like, screw it. Let's just go. Let me put it in. Yeah, he's like, oh, he's looking like, oh, you know, might be brain damage, but I ain't gonna say anything. Put it in so he puts it in the brain case. Yeah.
It's like dropping.
Hey, you know.
And go, well, let's see. That's not. That would be your fork.
Right. He might, but then he said he wasn't brain damaged. He just got like a little wound or something small. But yeah, that was like that reminded me of like History of the World. Remember History of the World? And he's like, I give you these 15, 10, 10.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So like it was like his brain all over the floor. That was great. And the guy he kept shooting. Poor Igor guy, whatever his name was.
Kondo.
Kondo, yeah. Oh God! But even like Sisterhood, like you see what he's doing with them? He's writing them a friggin' letter at like 8.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, he's full of crap. They like after a while, it was like the bull crap was happening, and then instead of killing the doc, he's like, well, would I just show up on your doorstep if I'm looking to take? They're like, yeah, we feel like idiots, you know. And then he just reignites the flame. But even then, they had the balls to hand him over to the guy. You know that's like effed up. Like Sisterhood of Khan are really nasty people. That's why even when the Eighth Doctor came upon them, he's like the planet of utter boredom. You know, like they're like they can't stand the Sisterhood of Khan. You know, they're a-holes. You know, so and even when Capaldi encountered the Sisterhood of Khan, he's like, yeah, you know, he's yelling at him and stuff, and he's like, shut up. You know, like whatever.
Forget.
I don't care. Who the hell are you? You know, how the hell did you get to Gallifrey? Yeah, okay. So yeah,
I really would love to know what the tip was for that taxi driver.
Yeah, exactly. That space taxi getting to Gallifrey. Well, they were around the area, I guess. That's what they
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean they weren't, because if they went all the way to the end of the universe, what, are they just going to follow? They were still where Gallifrey originally was, unless they. Yeah, we're talking about basically Sisterhood of Khan just showing up and friggin' Hellbent, just without TARDISes and magic or whatever. It's like, what the hell? So, again, Brain and Morbius, it's a great one, and it's funny how Russell T Davies tried to create his own kind of Sisterhood of Khan without using them, and then Moff is like, yeah, I'm just gonna
reuse them
for
another episode.
I'm gonna use them anyway, you know. But she even like posed as one of the sisters, if you remember Sarah.
Yeah.
She had like the hood on, just like, you know, it looked like Amy Pond kind of did, even though it was before Amy Pond's time, you know. But again, you know what? If we piece together everything, we could probably say, okay, that's Fires of Pompeii. Okay, that's this. Impossible Astronaut. That's this. That's this. That's this. And then after a while, you'll be like, well, what's original of the other? And there probably won't really be anything. So, you know. But it's a top one. Brain and Morbius. Top. 10. I love it. All right. Take care. Bye for now.